What's up, everyone? Yogi. What's up? Favorite Pokemon? Good question. You know, when I played like the early games, like Pokemon Yellow, it was always Charmander. That was always my favorite. I always went red. The most sought after card, I think it was like Logan Paul. He just, I forgot which one he did. It was like some super rare misprint. But the first edition Charizards always go for a lot. Oscar incoming, I think it's a given. It's a movie of the decade. Movie of the decade. That's why I got dressed up. But yeah, let's see the favorite one. I think I got the Charmander here. Let me see. Where's that one? Here we go. Yes, that's the favorite one, the Charmander. Been trying to collect the full set there. Nobody's on live because we're all out for the minions. Yeah, I'm about to. I think we're gonna go for a little drive in the car or whatever too. I normally don't. It was really a one-time thing. My daughter turned 4, and 2 weekends ago, and she guilted me into going to get my nails painted with her. So she picked the color and everything. But yeah, it's not like a normal thing. But you know, what's funny is I got like a ton of compliments on it, so now I feel like I might have to like keep it up, but it's extra work. Better longevity, PM or tech sales. If you can get in at the big tech companies like a Google, Amazon, Microsoft, LinkedIn, if you can become a PM there and then be on a promotion track, you can make a lot of money, but it's pretty hard to get into that role. Companies getting acquired, you want to, but the economy, are there still jobs? Yeah, there's still jobs. Still jobs for sure. Like the number of like layoffs and hiring freezes aren't really that high yet. Paint and nails probably increases engagement. It's funny, yeah, because like I'll get comments like people either say like they love it or they're like, why are they painted? Blah blah blah. Like, what's going on? So definitely, I think it does increase some engagement. Kind of like, you know, like I don't know if you guys follow like Ryan Pineda. He's in real estate, and then he's been doing like crazy hair colors. PM is a product manager. They're they work with the engineers to kind of like prioritize what features are going to be created and stuff. The most valuable card, the most valuable one that I have is, it's not even like super, like that's super valuable, but it's first edition. So I'm only really collecting the base set. So that's the 1999 base set, that's the first set of Pokemon cards. So the first edition ones are the most valuable, and the PSA ones, they're rated from 1 through 10. So this one is my most valuable one. It's the only 10 first edition that I have. It's all the other ones, like it just gets like crazy expensive. This one I think is worth like $350 right now, and I got it because actually I was trying to buy a different one, and the seller messed up on eBay, and they sent me one that was instead like, or they were supposed to send me one that was only worth like $100, and they mixed mine up with a guy in like Singapore, and he told me just to end up keeping it. You have an interview with AWS. No sports cards. Yeah, you know, I normally, you know, wasn't really a big card collector. When I was younger, I did competitive Magic the Gathering. That's a whole different story. That was actually before I got into like sports myself. But actually, it was kind of fun. I almost went into the pro tour. I might end up like seeing if I could do it maybe next year or something. But interview with AWS, yeah. Big tip with an interview with AWS is focus on the leadership principles. Very important. And then also do the STAR methodology. Start as SDR in May. How quickly can you become an AE? 12 to 18 months. That's about the quickest it'll happen. It might happen a little sooner, but 12 to 18 months is pretty realistic. Book recommendations. Look on the Discord. I have a whole book section there. Okta, they got kind of clobbered a little bit. I think it was some of the breaches, but I think they're well positioned in the cyberspace. Eight years of experience in other sales. How can you get started? Look at my playlist, Get Into Tech Sales. I kind of like go through it at a high level. But you're more than likely going to start off as a sales development representative or business development representative. It pays between 60 to 100K. So depending on where you're at right now, it might be a little bit of a downgrade. Like if it's significantly less than what you're making right now, I would say you'd want to transition into an account executive, but you're going to need to like really think about your prior experiences and think about like what you can bring to the table. Because usually you need to have prior tech sales experience to go in as an account executive. Do you think software engineering is as good as a career as AE? I think it's probably even better, but only if like you can perform at a high level as a software engineer and you can get into like the big tech companies. If you get into like a Google, Amazon, Microsoft, Meta, the software engineers get paid the most, mostly because they get the most equity. And I would say the job security is probably a little bit better, but you need to be able to perform at a high level, and interviewing for those positions is way harder than it is for tech sales. The interviews are very technical. People will literally spend 4, 5, 6 months just prepping for these interviews. It's insane. They'll go through like leak code, they'll practice all the coding, technical interview questions, and so it's a very intense process. So the bar is extremely high for those positions there. How do you make $500,000? You need to get promoted up to the enterprise AE level. It's about 4 to 6 years if you have strong performance. And you can make more than that too. If you like really kill it, you can easily make, maybe not easily, but it happens relatively often. You can make over $1 million. How you stop feeling broke? You just gotta keep making more money. Honestly, like I was never very big on budgeting or anything like that. I always just kind of found ways to make more money before my main job money, kind of like went up. So different side hustles. And then, cause like for me personally, I think like until you get up to like the 400K mark or whatever, that's when like you don't really have to like worry about spending too much, and then like your savings and everything starts going up too. But for me personally, I was also like, whenever my cash reserves would get big enough, that's when I would buy property or whatever, and that would eat that up. There's a future in the cloud. It seems like it. Our data centers are going away. They're getting consolidated down to the big cloud players. What do I do with all these entry-level jobs that want multiple years of experience? Yeah, so there's different levels of entry level, right? So there's different tiers of jobs and different tiers of the company. Like for example, an SDR at Google, they're hiring people with actually 3 to 4 years of experience, like tech sales experience for those roles, as opposed to SDRs at other places, they'll hire people with 0 experience. So entry level is relative, and that's why you might see that. You're not up to date with the lingo. What does BDR stand for? BDR is Business Development Representative. SDR is another equivalent term, Sales Development Representative. Am I buying crypto stocks for this? Yeah, I'm buying stocks. I'm not buying so much crypto. I think we're going to see more pain in crypto. We saw, what was it? USD, whatever. I forgot. It was like Tether, not Tether. Anyway, I'm drawing a blank. It was one of the stable coins. The same thing. I think I've been like following Tether. People were saying the same thing with Tether too, where there wasn't like sufficient backing behind it or not enough reserve. Yeah, Luna. Yeah, exactly. So Luna collapsed because basically there was a bank run on Luna. A bunch of people started to withdraw money from Luna or exchange their Luna for other currencies, and then they just didn't have enough, and that's when it lost the peg. I think we can potentially see that with the other currencies too. Chainlink. So here's the thing. The concept, because I've been investing in crypto on and off since like 2017, 2018. So I was there before like the last bull run, and that was pretty crazy. I saw that big jump up. Everyone was going crazy, and then you had like this crash, and then it just, it's a pretty big crash at first, and then it's kind of a slow bleed for a while. And I mean, the thing is, the practical applications still they're quite not there yet. So I think until we really see more of those, that's when we'll see more adoption. But then even then, like for example, if a government were to adopt cryptocurrencies, they could realistically just do a hard fork of one of the other currencies and then control it themselves. But yeah, it has been a pretty bad crash in the last 4 weeks. Pretty crazy. I actually sold most of mine on the way up. Like I sold most of my Bitcoin at 42,000, and I sold most of my Ethereum at like 2,400. I sold it actually after like there was like a mini dip because I was kind of worried. I got flashbacks to 2018. Then I was really kicking myself when it like shot up even more after that. But looking back, I definitely feel better now. Like people like they either sell too soon and then they feel bad because they missed out on the gains, but it feels a lot worse to sell at a loss or to miss out at all. So one of the hardest things in investing is collecting profits. So my best advice is collect profits on the way up, at least cover your cost basis, and that's going to make your investing like that much smoother. Because I've seen a lot of people, they'll have 1,000% returns on their portfolios either because of crypto or they do options trading, and then they lose it all. Tech sales versus big law. Actually, a creator I'm connected with, he does law TikToks, but he actually used to be in tech sales too. I mean, they're very, very different career paths. You can make a lot of money in big law too, but it's kind of like a narrow pyramid, right? Like you need to get to like partner level and stuff to make like a lot of money in big law. I think the big thing is also, 2,200 billable a year. Yeah, the other thing with big law too is, you need to get like a law degree, right? There's a bigger upfront investment there. So something to consider. Partner at big law. Yeah. Oh yeah. Any plans for the 4th? I do, yeah. So actually my boy is turning 1 tomorrow. So super excited for that. And then just hanging out with family. Got a bunch of grilling stuff. Gonna be by the pool. One of my followers sent me a Wagyu steak. Pretty crazy. I helped him get into a position. He pivoted from a hardware company Then I think he's at Zoom now. He said he was crushing it. And he literally sent me like almost a pound of A5 Wagyu steak. So excited to grill that up too. How many hours do I put in a week? So between everything that I do, like the main job, TikToks, I have a couple partnerships that I work on, some consulting, probably like 50 hours or something like that. But there's definitely like downtime during the day too. So it's not like a 50 hours straight or whatever. Currently have a degree in biochemistry, currently in sales. How do you break into tech? Yeah, look at the playlist that I have. Get into tech sales. Entry-level BDRs have to go through psychology, personality, cognitive test. So it's not very common, but I've heard of people going through those. How can you pivot from an account manager to an AE? So, best way to do it is internal transfers if you can. And then to really do that well, you need to start networking with the sales manager, indicate why you're interested there. Every company is going to have a little bit of a different internal transfer process, but internal transfer is way easier than trying to apply externally for different roles. So as long as you're at a company that's supportive of it, I always recommend that path. Thoughts on customer engagement platforms? I mean, there's a ton out there. Usually you don't have too much of a choice at the company that you're at. It's like whatever platform that they decided on, that's what they're going to use. And then trying to bring anything else on is going to be a challenge. Usually, there's security concerns, security reviews, vendor reviews, all these approvals. So usually you don't have too much of a choice there. Is there like a specific one you're interested or wondering about? Take on MongoDB. So Mongo's pretty, they have a interesting business model, right? Because they have both like the open source and they have their enterprise side. But I know quite a few people there. They've tried to recruit me a few times over the years. The business has been solid growth. The sales team, which I met like in Austin, seemed pretty solid. So if you have an offer from there, I think they're a top tier company. How much life insurance do you have? I think it's, a lot of the companies, the tech companies, they give you, it's like 3x your salary and for free for life insurance. So for me, it's like $1 million that was free, but then I just maxed it out. So I did like, another 3 mil or something like that. And it wasn't even like that much per month. 5 interviews too much for BDR? Not really. One of them will be like an interview screen. Then you have one with a hiring manager, and then they might ask like, you'll have your behavioral interviews. I would say 5 is kind of like on the upper end, but you're not going to see too many less. What cards are these? These are Pokemon cards. So I've been collecting the base set, right? So I'm almost at like the full set of like the 100. It's like 110, I think, or 102 in the first base set. So I've got all of like the hollows and whatever. Missing like a lot of like a few of them between like 60 and 80, kind of like the trainer cards and that type of stuff. But I'll get there. Have I considered being a private equity CEO? Yeah, I mean, private equity would be interesting. I also would be interested in VC. I've been doing a little bit of angel investing, which I think is interesting. PSA 10 variety. I only have a couple 10s. The most expensive one that I have is this one. It's a trainer, first edition, 10 for Pokemon Center. I think this one, it's worth like $400 or something. I'm more trying to like just get the whole set. If you did like PSA 10 for the entire base set, I think it's like over 100 grand right now. I think it's closer to 200K right now. I'm not looking to spend nearly that much. I'd rather just have all of them. What's crazy with these is, so they rate them from a 1 through 10, right? But the differences between the cards are like very, very minimal. Like this is a 3, right? It looks like, when you look at it, it's like almost mint condition. There's essentially like a little nick on 2 of the corners or whatever, and that knocks it down to a 3, as opposed to like this one is a 9. Like they look almost identical to me. So that's why I'm not too picky on the condition. Most of the graded cards in general are actually pretty good. Average base salary at AWS for L5. Yeah, so for L5, it's going to be between like 120 and 130, pretty much for the most part for base pay. Like when I got in at a level 6, that was pretty much right at the base cap of 160, and they raised it. That was for an L6. L5. So at the big companies, the big corporate companies, the big tech ones, they have leveling systems, and different jobs will be at different levels. So like when you hear like, climbing the corporate ladder or whatever, you're basically going up the levels, right? So lower levels, that's more entry level, and as you move up, you have less people that are at the higher levels, but your pay is pretty much directly correlated to the level, right? And that's how they kind of like normalize things. So like, for example, if you're like a level 5 sales rep, your pay is actually going to be pretty close to like a level 5 person in like marketing or whatever. Like they have pay ranges for these different roles. There will be differences in like the pay structure. Like for example, in sales, you'll have a higher commission, or versus like someone in marketing, they might only have like a 15% bonus on their base salary if they hit all their target. But the levels are important. That's essentially like when you're getting promoted, you're trying to get up to those higher levels. And then to move into certain roles, usually roles are scoped for different levels. So like if you start out at a level 3, you're not going to be able to apply for a promotion to a level 5 role. They're not going to let you like skip levels and stuff like that. So within sales, you start off as a sales development representative, then you move into like either an inside sales rep or a small and medium business account executive, then you move up to mid-market, and then enterprise, and then like strategic key accounts, and then they have, directors and VPs and so on. So that's the whole leveling system. You can look at like levels.fyi. They basically have tables that show you what the equivalent levels are at different companies. Like Microsoft is kind of interesting. Like I don't know why they do it like this, but like the entry level is level 62. And then it goes up to 63, 64, 65, and so on. Google starts at a level 3. Amazon starts at a level 4, meaning a level 4 at Amazon is equal to a level 3 at Google. Facebook, Meta, they do like E3, E4, E5. So you can go on levels.fyi and they'll tell you what like the equivalents are at these different companies and stuff. SaaS Poppy is one of the TechSalesTom subscribers. So if you click on the little badge, I recently got into the TikTok creator subscriber program, so that's what that's from. You made $400K last year in mortgages. You're only going to make $75K this year. Oh man, yeah, I've heard mortgages, it's going to be a little rough, right? Last year was probably crazy. You probably had so many refis that you were working with, and I heard there were a lot of people that even got into mortgages just last year because the money was so easy. Definitely going to be, I'm imagining it's going to be a lot harder, because I know Better and Chase and I think Wells Fargo, they've been having their layoffs, assuming that volume and stuff is going down. Yeah, I'm sure. I bet you're probably seeing like, are you seeing a lot of like people backing out of contracts too? Like that's gotta be frustrating. ISR, SMB, AE. So it depends on the company and the level. In some companies you can actually make more as an ISR versus an SMB, AE. But in general, you want to get to AE, account executive, as soon as you can, because you make more commission. We switched to selling HELOCs. That reminds me, I was so close to like locking in a HELOC end of last year when rates were still like 3%. And now I'm kicking myself because I have one of my properties, I have like 600K equity that I'm trying to pull out, and it would have been great to get it at 3%. Now I think what are the rates for HELOCs right now? They're probably like more like 5 or 6, right? It's possible to move from product manager to tech sales. Yeah, you can definitely do it. Product manager, you're selling a lot internally. Weekend plans. Yeah, so grilling. My boy's turning 1, so super excited. We're doing a grilling 1-year-old birthday party stuff, and then probably do be on the lakefront path, and then of course Minions, right? I think everyone's seen Minions. Prime is 4.75. Yep. Yeah, it's definitely higher. You applied to 40, 60 jobs and nothing. So I'm gonna ask, did you get referrals for all those, or did you just blind apply? So you definitely need to get referrals nowadays. How am I doing after the crash? Doing better. Fortunately, a lot of it, I didn't really actually feel like a lot of it went, like it was worse like the day of when I got, T-boned. And then when I was in like, the hospital or wherever, just getting like checked out, they said it was going to hurt a lot more the next day. But I guess I got lucky because it wasn't the case. But dealing with all the insurance stuff is frustrating because I was literally going to be trading that in for a new Plaid Model X, which I had pre-ordered. And it came in, I was ready. I was going to literally trade it the next day. And then now I'm dealing with this, so we'll see what that is. Why am I wearing a suit at home? Well, I recorded the most recent TikTok, and I was wearing this for the TikTok. You like the Tesla? Yeah, I've had 5 now. So I started off with like a used Model S because I wasn't quite sure if I was gonna like it or not because I'm a big car guy. Got that one only for like $30K, and then I did a Model 3 Performance, and then Model Y Performance, then a Model X, and then another Model X. And I loved all of them, but my favorite was like the S and the X. They definitely ride a bit smoother. First AE job hit quota, first 2 quarters, third quarter doesn't look too great. Do you need to panic? No, yeah, you don't need to panic. 1 quarter is not gonna kill you, especially it's also relative to your team. I think this third quarter is gonna be a little difficult for everyone, so it's all relative, right? The most important thing is compare your performance to your peers. As long as you're performing in like the top 50%, that's gonna give you the most protection from like any potential layoffs or anything. First step to landing a tech job, build out your resume, build out your LinkedIn, make sure it's optimized for applying for sales positions. I talk about that in my Get Into Tech Sales playlist. You can check that out. And then you want to get referrals too. Referrals are super important nowadays, especially nowadays. They're always important, but nowadays it's even more important. Yep, definitely referrals though. So I talk about that. So basically at a high level with referrals, you need to treat like this first job like sales itself, right? So in sales, you're not going to expect to like make a sale right away the first customer you call, right? You're going to have to reach out multiple times, reach out to multiple people. So for each company that you want to apply to, you want to identify 2 to 4 people that you're going to prospect into and ask for referrals on LinkedIn. You're going to probably have to reach out multiple times. You're going to have to be a little creative, focus on people that maybe have a similar background with you, went to the same school. And yeah. Where do you start in tech sales? Can you actually record your sales conversations? You can. So you got to be careful. In some states, like California, for example, they don't allow you to record calls with customers. So you have to be aware of that. But people do like record their calls to jot down notes and go back to them afterwards, or you can transcribe them. Any tips for handling one-on-ones with the manager and any stress over the call each week? Yeah, one-on-ones can be a little stressful. So the best thing to do is be prepared, right? So if you've already had a couple, you probably have a good idea in terms of the format. They're probably going to ask you about what are some of the roadblocks on some of the opportunities that you're working on. What are some of your highlights, lowlights? So just prepare for it like a customer meeting. You know, take notes, have an agenda for your one-on-one, and that's going to make things a lot smoother versus just coming into it cold. Is there anything that you believe should be a requirement for tech sales positions? You know, I think everyone should do like Toastmasters or like a public speaking course or group or something. I think it's really important. It's going to make people more comfortable and confident on the calls. I used to hate doing presentations, speaking in front of groups. I did Toastmasters for a little bit. It definitely helped. For Canadian, it's possible to get remote tech sales in the USA as the pay is larger. You can, but they're not going to pay you US rates. They're going to pay you Canadian rates for that. Thoughts on the DGR role? Oh, there we go. Yeah, the connection dropped there. So question was, yeah, thoughts on the DGR role. So no one really likes sales development. I mean, it's a tough role. It's a bit of a grind. You know, you're doing a bunch of calls, a bunch of emails, but it's more of like an apprenticeship. So you got to remember that everyone just goes through it. If you do it right, you put in the work, you're only going to be in that role for like 12 to 18 months. You're essentially getting paid to like learn sales in a fairly low pressure environment. Like if you mess up a cold call, it's not really like a big deal or anything. So it's all about perspective, and you just have to like put in the time, and you gotta do it for the most part. Common for AMs to get fired if they don't hit their MBOs, revenue not enough. No, I mean if you hit your revenue, that's really all that matters. Is it normal for a company to ask you to record your interview? Yeah, I mean, depending on the state that the interviewer is in, they have to like explicitly ask for permission. But yeah, I mean, they'll sometimes record interviews, especially if like the hiring manager can't actually be on the interviews and they want to see how you answer. Do I own a boat? No, I don't own a boat. I used to. I don't own one right now because like I'm in Chicago. The season's very short. I'm like pretty close to like doing one of those boat club memberships, but I haven't pulled the trigger on it yet. Is it just me or is cloud isn't very exciting? No, it's not just you. Honestly, like I'm probably like in the same boat where it's not like, you know, you're selling plumbing kind of like for the most part, right? The core infrastructure and everything. Some of the services I think are more and more exciting for me than others, like the machine learning stuff I'm really interested in. But yeah, in general, not super exciting. Any tips for Amazon AE Super Days? Actually, I'm not familiar with the Super Days ones. At least on my team, we don't have those. Skills, traits, hiring managers look for. So what they're really looking for is, are you coachable? Are you curious? Are you dependable? Do you ask the right questions? Are you a quick learner? If National Instruments gives you a director role, would you go back? Maybe. It depends. It really depends. I enjoyed actually everything about that company, but the pay was just like, it wasn't quite there. Like literally I got the company that I joined, they were paying like double. I remember I was talking to my manager and I was telling him that, and he was actually almost in the same boat too. He was thinking about leaving because of the pay. But and I told him like, hey, like this is what they're offering me. Like but I really enjoy what I'm doing here. Like how long would it take for me to get to that salary? And they're like, okay, well, if you do really well and you get promoted next year, your pay will go up 5K, blah, blah, blah. Long story short, it would have taken like 5 years or whatever to like get to that point. I'm like, yeah, I mean, for where I want to go, or my other financial goals, I pretty much have to take this other position. But do you think you make more than your manager? No, just because I know my manager is one level higher than me, and he's been at Amazon like I think for like 7 years now, so I'm pretty sure he has like a lot more stock too. But I might have made more commission though, but for base salary and then for stock, I think that probably offset. Money Bank Money, what's up, man? How many hours I'm putting in? About everything, for everything about like 50. That's like with like the side businesses and stuff too. What would you work on improving if you had to start over and get to entry level tech sales? Probably just getting more internships. That's probably like the one thing I would have done differently. I was helping out my parents. They had like a small trucking business, so I did that. I helped out with them in the summers. I didn't actually do any internships. That made things a lot harder. Do I have a tailor? No, I need to. This is like an old suit. I need to get like a new suit custom made for sure. What do you think a manager at BizDev should earn? You've been interviewing for around 150. It depends. It depends on the company. It can range a lot for a company. Like if you get like SDR manager position at like Google or Amazon, if you come in at like a level 6 or level 5, they could easily offer you 300K with stock. So do I have an ISR sign? Not in my territory or the way that it works with strategic accounts. We don't actually have them because there's only like 1 or 2 accounts that you have. How do you feel about job hopping? Early on in your career, I think it's good. I think one of the key things to do is when you're in a role or when you join a company, your first impressions are really, really important. So essentially within like the first 3 to 6 months, they're already going to place you in one of 2 buckets. The first bucket is you're on the promotion rockstar path, right? You're going to be front of the line for any promotion considerations. They're going to try to promote you every like 1 to 2 years, maybe 2.5 years tops, okay? And then if you're on that path, it's good to stay in that role because you're going to grow quite a bit. And if you're at the right company, they actually will pay you like fairly for those raises. So you're not going to like fall behind. If you're on the other path where you're more of like kind of like the worker bee or whatever, if you stay there for too long, you're gonna fall behind your market rate. So you need to identify which bucket you're in. You also need to consider, is this a company that you really want to stay at long term? And then you also need to consider what other offers you have in front of you. It's always a good idea to continue to like interview because you never know like when a great opportunity might come around. So you need to be open-minded. And then you also never know like what the exact offer is going to be. So once you get the offer, then you can kind of consider like your current trajectory, what the new company is going to be. But earlier on, it's better to job hop. I would say like once you get to a certain level, like senior level, then you're gonna get to a point where you plateau. Like for example, once you get to like the enterprise AE level, pretty much every company is offering like 300K OTE, right? So if you change companies at that point, it's not going to automatically be more money for you, right? So at that point, once you get to that level, you need to find the right company where you can make an impact and get to that next level, if that's what you want to do. What am I doing, bro? I'm just hopped on live after doing the video. My brother-in-law and sister-in-law just came into town, so they're binge watching Stranger Things, which I'm not like a huge TV fan anymore, so they're doing that. So that's why I'm on. Normally would be out, but actually I might take the car out for a little spin. Then your pages, where can you learn more to prepare to get into tech sales? Yeah, there's a few. Troy, if you just literally search tech sales on TikTok, I did this like a day ago or 2 days ago. Pretty much like the main videos that pop up those are pretty much like the main tech sales creators. I think I have the largest following because I've been doing it, I think, for the longest on TikTok. But Troy is on there. Will is also another good resource for tech sales. Sales Tips Talk is another one too. What would you say the most significant detail on a resume? Most significant would be any numeric figures that you can put about your performance. You need to show impact in your roles. So if it's sales roles, you need to talk about quota attainment. If it's a non-sales role, you need to talk about like some sort of improvement that you're able to drive. What percent of my income do I invest? Trying to think what that is. Probably like 20 to 30%. To be honest, you can literally lie about quota attainment. Yeah, you can. The one thing you gotta be careful though is like some of these companies, or like the circle within tech sales can be fairly small. So sometimes if you make it like really exaggerated, like if you put down like 200% attainment on like every role, that might raise some flags, and they might do some backdoor vetting on you. Meaning, if the hiring manager knows people at the company that you're currently at, or the company at before, they'll like literally just call their contacts or message them like, hey, I'm interviewing this guy. Did he really hit 200%? Was he really that good of a sales rep? And so you got to be careful for that type of stuff. Am I a millionaire yet? Yeah, actually, I crossed that. I crossed that early last year, and I think I'm coming up on 2 right now for net worth. And a good portion of it is real estate. Like just my one property actually alone. I bought it in like 2017. For 545, and it's appraising right now for 1.4. So like that alone right there is like pretty much $1 million in equity. And then do you talk to your coworkers openly about pay? Yeah, I do. I've actually had a few that ask me about it. Like I'm open to talk about it. We actually at like Amazon, there's an internal like anonymous salary submission Slack group or whatever, and they have like thousands of data points for different amounts of money that people are getting paid by level, by location, and yeah, so it's absolutely to your benefit to talk about it. Thoughts on loan originators? It's tough right now. I think the volumes are way down. Anybody's a Snowflake? What are their thoughts? Yeah, I've got one really good one. I used to work with him at years ago, and he joined Snowflake a year before they went IPO. At their peak, his equity was worth like almost $5 million. You know, it's gone down quite a bit. I think that it's still a solid product, but long term they're gonna face some like economies of scale issues, because you know everything that they're running is running on AWS, or I think it's pretty much all on AWS. So if you think about it, if AWS ends up, you know, offering something similar or more of a direct competitor, then they're going to be able to sell it at a cheaper price, because, you know, the cloud is cheaper for Amazon themselves than for Snowflake. Let's talk about real estate. Am I HELOCing? I'm actually trying to do that right now, because one of my properties appreciated a ton. I was going to do it last year. I wish I did at the end of last year. But I'm going to take that, and I'm going to do some renovations on one of my properties. I'm finishing up 2 builds right now. They're actually on neighboring lots. I did a couple stories on it. I'll probably do some videos on it. But I want to do like a pretty nice like 30-foot outdoor pool, nice like outdoor area and everything. So I'm probably going to put like 100 into that. And then for the rest, I think I'm gonna do some more rentals there with the rest of the HELOC. Have I ever attempted car sales? So I haven't done like high volume car sales, but I've done it myself, where like I flip cars. Like I'll buy rare, in-demand vehicles. Like I have a lot of knowledge within that space, so I like finding good deals. I'll buy them, do some light work if I need to, and then I'll sell them for a profit, like, you know, 6 months or so later. Do I listen to this song while I count money? No, I just put it on because it's the Minions thing. Do you see that customers see these post lives and react? I haven't. I don't know if I've had any customers, but actually, like at reInvent, which was one of the conferences, like I was out at one of the in Vegas. I was out with a couple of my customers, and I had some followers recognize me in one of the clubs, which I thought was funny. So, and I've actually had like a couple of them reach out to me, and I grabbed lunch, and because they saw like the TikTok stuff. Do your coworkers acknowledge that they're rich? People I know earning 400K love to downplay it. You know, it's funny, like, yeah, people don't really say it, but like literally it's like, yeah, all my coworkers are making 400K plus. Like I was at sales kickoff and we had like 50 people there. I'm like, I was just counting in my head because some of them were like, you know, a lot more senior. I'm like, man, with these like 50 people, that's like 25 million a year in salary just with like this group, which is like insane. But yeah, people don't really like directly talk about it, but definitely like for sure. Cool, I do the same. S2000, HN, Civic SIs are big hits. Oh yeah, S2000s went up a lot. I actually, one of my first early cars was 2008 Honda Civic SI, did full bolt-ons. Love that car actually. What does W-2 mean? W-2 is just like full-time employee. So W-2 is like the tax form that you get to file your taxes. Where'd you go if it wasn't AWS? Right now, I would consider going back to Google. Microsoft I think is solid. ByteDance is actually really interesting. When am I gonna buy the Civic Type R? Probably won't. You know, because it's still front-wheel drive. If it was all-wheel drive, I would consider it. But front-wheel drive, no. Like for me, it's either all-wheel drive or rear-wheel drive at this point. And I have like my Factory 5 kit car, which is kind of like ruined like any other production car for me. Like any like modern sports car is like pretty numb. Like the car that I have that right now is 460 horsepower. It's 1,900 pounds. There's no ABS, traction control, whatever. It's like race car for the street. Like I used to ride a lot of motorcycles and sport bikes and stuff. And what I always liked about those was they felt a lot more direct than cars themselves, at least the modern cars. But this is like as close as I've gotten to something like that. So for me, like any like performance sports car, the only other sports car I think I would get right now is I'm looking at like a Ferrari FF or a GTC4 Lusso. I think those are pretty awesome. They're kind of underrated. V12, four-wheel drive, four-door hatchback. I think they're a future classic. Why Chicago versus Austin? So actually, I have a couple properties in Austin. Was living in Austin for like 6 years. Only reason why I moved back is both me and my wife, our parents still live in the Chicago suburbs, at least for like probably another year or whatever. So we were expecting our second, and it's definitely easier, you know, having two kids being by parents. We did the first one all in Austin. So it was beginning of the pandemic, travel was kind of up in the air. So figured like, hey, let's just go back for a year or two. It's been almost 2 years now, but the long-term plan is, I think, go back to Austin, but buying a place in Chicago right now is an investment to have it to travel back and stuff. You have HTM experience. Where would you fit at Microsoft, Google? Average deal size, 250K, but not tech. So both of them actually have like financial services sales teams, and cloud sales teams that focus on financial services. Best sales book. Look at my Discord. I put a few in there, but Challenger Sales, Spin Selling. I think those are two of my like favorite ones. Another good one, like if you want to get like some perspective on like actual like enterprise software sales, is Game of Sales by David Perry. That's like a good one that I read recently. I gotta change this song real quick. It's been on repeat. Mostly, I was trying to see if like I would get like the spot, like the boost from the Minions thing, but it's too much, guys. I gotta change it. Let's do this guy on? It's too much. Not this one. I'm probably gonna wrap it up soon too. Favorite electric car? I like the Taycan a lot, the Porsche. But the Model X, which I have right now, I think is one of my favorites overall. Like, you can't beat the practicality of it. Love like the Falcon Wing doors. And I'm supposed to be getting my Plaid soon. I was going to be trading in my old Model X, but it got T-boned, so now I'm dealing with the insurance, whatever, fallout. Do I work from home? Yeah, work from home. Although the background looks like you're selling noise to wake up. Yeah. Thanks, Tom. Appreciate what you're doing. Peace. Yeah. Thanks for hopping on. Qualified sales leader. Actually, I don't think I've heard that one. Or I don't think I've read that one. I'll have to check it out. What am I wearing? This was for the TikTok. I just did it for like I saw all the Minion videos. I was actually going to see Minions today, but then we decided we're just going to do it tomorrow instead. Do I go into the office regularly? No. I've been to the office like 3 times, I think, over the past 2 years. I don't think I've gone this year yet. In sales, a lot of salespeople don't go in the office. Other than like the entry-level role, SDR, BDR, you might go into the office like pretty often because you want to be around your peers and so on. But for like when you get to the AE level, a lot of people mostly work from home because they're either at home or they're traveling out to customers. So there isn't really like a need to be in the office. What am I doing with Pokemon cards? Nephews are totally into that. So for me, it's just like investing in whatever, and then like the graded ones. These are the ones where there's companies, they basically grade the condition of the cards and they encapsulate them, so it kind of protects them and stuff. And they've gone down a little bit in value, but I kind of bought them after they went down. But it's just kind of a fun alternative investment. I did a little Pokemon when I was younger, so it's kind of neat to kind of see them again. But not into like playing or anything competitive there. Best cold call open. Oh man, like cold call opens. I haven't done like volume cold calling in like a very long time, so. But I'm not a fan of like totally cold calling. I think you gotta have like a good pitch, a good message. My favorite way is actually like do research on the company and the prospect and make it as personal as possible. So maybe you saw like a LinkedIn post that they responded to, an article that they were in, and the company was like in the news or something like that. Thanks for sharing your experiences, Tomek. Yeah, no problem. Dziękuję. How do you get my leads? So for me, it's like we have like an internal lead system where we'll get them in, but I'm at like the global account level, so I only have like 2 accounts. And then, so I'm not really cold calling, right? That's the thing. There are like certain like business units and divisions that we have no like presence in. So those I'm actually kind of like more like cold calling and prospecting into and trying to get relationships there. But yeah, it's not the same as like having like a enterprise territory or SMB territory where you have a bunch of greenfield accounts. Best advice, if you're applying a ton, best advice is referrals. Definitely don't just apply cold, right? So you need to make sure that you get referrals before you apply for a company. Like go on LinkedIn, do a little research, find like 2 to 4 people that you're gonna try to prospect into and get a referral from. That's gonna like make things way easier for you. What is an investment that I kick myself for missing? Great question. The one big one I would say is in my Austin property, there was an adjacent lot that was like for sale for a while for 100K, and I put off on buying it. There were like 5 other lots in my neighborhood, and they were all nicer. And then of course, like just as I'm about to like pull the trigger on it, then and like the owner was going to do owner financing and everything, and then someone else ended up putting in an offer and they were buying it, but it ended up working out because like I bought it back from them, but still ended up buying it, having to buy it back for like 60K more. Am I planning on retiring early? Financial goals? Yeah, I mean, with the passive income and stuff that I have and partnerships, I actually could retire if I wanted to right now, or retire. I think there's different definitions of retirement. You know, I think the one level of definition of retirement is like not having like a W-2 job or whatever, which I think is valid. I could probably see myself doing that. But I think for me personally, there's still like a lot of potentially interesting W-2 jobs that I could have. So I probably won't give that up fully until one, I either start my own startup or maybe at like the age of like 35 or 40 or something. What solution do I sell? I sell the entire AWS platform. RepView accuracy. RepView is like pretty accurate. I've looked at like the prior companies that I was at. It's pretty solid. The one thing you got to look for is at some of the companies like Amazon, Google, you know, there's a leveling system. So like the pay can vary based on your level too. If you were to buy real estate for the first time to live in, what price of the house would you buy in? So might be controversial, but I would buy as much as you can with a 3% down payment. That's what I did. But maybe I just got lucky with the timing, but it worked out there. Does my manager know about my TikTok? Yeah, my manager knows. I've had multiple sales directors message me on Slack saying that they saw my TikToks and they liked it, so it's no secret. It was like a little awkward at first, but thanks for the info on the paid transparency Slack channels. You just joined them. Yeah. A lot of the companies have them now. They aren't upset about your salary or transparency. You know, I don't see why any company would be upset about it. Like, if anything, it you know, it's like an advertisement for the company, right? The only reason why you'd be upset about it, I think, is if you didn't pay market rate. But the info is out there too, right? You know, there's other websites like RepView, Levels.fyi, Glassdoor, like that info is out there. The only other people I've seen were upset were like ones they're like, hey, like, why are you like shedding so much light on it? You're just making it more competitive. I don't know. I've heard a lot of finance TikTokers getting fired for it. Yeah, it depends. Some companies are more strict than others. I think there's more to it though. Like, they can't fire you just for talking about pay transparency, or you're talking about your own pay, because that's like, it's federally protected. Best advice to market in a niche industry besides SEO, PPC? Social selling, I would say, is big right now. It's been big for the past couple of years, but I think it's getting more and more important. But here's another question for you guys. What's your favorite Pokemon card? I have like 70% of the base set here. So maybe you could say what your Pokemon is, and I think I might have it here. If I was to start a company, what was I thinking about starting? Cybersecurity risk analytics. So I used to be in that space. There's still so much potential there. I think that's what I would do there. Either that, or I've been working on a few business ideas for fractional real estate ownership. I have some kind of like unique spins on that. But it's a little different. You know, like the cybersecurity one is a bit more B2B. The other one, you know, is a little bit more B2C. You're in tech sales too, selling AD security right now. Nice, man. How many Airbnbs do I own? Right now it's 2, but very soon it's gonna be 4. So the other 2, actually it'll be 5 actually pretty soon. So I'm closing on 1, and then in the next 2 weeks, and then finishing up construction on 2 of them. It's been like almost 18 months, but they're supposed to be finished like next month. Have I ever visited Poland? I have, but it's been like 20 years I think at this point. So I need to go back. My dad actually he just did like a month there, like a couple months ago. He's telling me it changed a lot. You're in tech sales, just finished setting one up. Nice, yeah. I'm a fan because normally when you do like long-term real estate investing, you never actually stay in the property. You have long-term tenants, there's no gaps. But if you have an Airbnb, what's cool is if you get an Airbnb in like places that you like to vacation to, then you literally have a free place to stay at when you vacation, and you make it like a business trip. Did I just get back from a customer prospect meeting? No, I just got back. I just did a TikTok, Minions TikTok. Yes, I don't, I normally don't dress up like this, except like, if we go out or whatever, see a Broadway show or something. You have 9 long-term rentals trying to 1031 to Airbnb. Be careful with that, because Airbnb is getting a little saturated depending on the market. I've been seeing it. My advice would be, if you do Airbnbs now, Airbnb has changed their algorithm. You really need to focus on like unique Airbnbs, like the run-of-the-mill stuff where like you're going against hotels. You definitely don't want to be in that space anymore. Did you pay an assistant to help with the partnership stuff? No, it's been all me. I'm like, that's the one thing I've kind of like been terrible at, is like, that's why I've been trying to focus more on scale, is because that's eventually you hit a cap with like how much you can do on your own with time. But I have a couple ideas on scaling there. Have you looked into CryptoKitties? Oh yeah, when it first was out, I remember it was crazy when that first blew up back in like 2017. You notice you do in Chicago, right? So yeah, I'm in Chicago. I don't actually, all my stuff is in Austin, Texas. I was actually gonna buy I was gonna do 2 properties in Chicago, backed out of one of them, or probably will. The financing is getting kind of annoying on it. And then I'm only gonna do one other one, mostly just to have a place for myself to stay in. How much are my haircuts? Not a lot. I go to Sports Clips most of the time, so it's only like $30 or $25 or whatever. But I think I need to go back again and get the fade again or whatever. And I don't usually do anything crazy. It's just like down to a 1 on the sides, fade it down a little bit, and then a little bit off the top. Do a seminar, meet and greet in Austin. Yeah, I want to do that. One of the things I want to do is I want to do like workshop, masterclass, or whatever in Austin. I think that could be cool. But yeah, definitely meet and greet. Like I did a couple in Chicago for happy hour. Probably do that again soon. Interview, then ghost. Any tips? Yeah, so just follow up with the sales manager, follow up with the recruiter. Make sure you leave a strong impression. Tom, if you want to visit Austin, you can stay at my parents' house. I mean, I have a couple places in Austin, so actually I need one of my tenants, because I was doing like medium-term rentals, like 30-day minimums, and they ended up staying for like 6 months because their house got delayed construction. So I'm actually going to be going back. I'm going to go there for a couple weeks, I think, end of July. Can you help people get into tech sales? Yeah, I mean, that's my whole channel. Did you hear about the SDR who got fired because of bodega comments when he moved to New York City? No, actually I haven't. I'd be interested to hear about that. But you do need to be careful with what you say. People will it's a you know, a political environment all around, so the digital footprint is real. Can you grab lunch? Yeah, internet CrowdStrike. Yeah, actually, I used to work really closely at at the cybersecurity startup I was at with the sales director, and she's at CrowdStrike right now. She's been there for like 2 or 3 years now. Leslie Stein. So she's in Austin. Wonder if you've met her. Twitter crowd got him canned. Yeah, it'll happen. There was a guy in it's like a finance guy. He was like an expat Australian. He was posting a lot of like racist stuff about minority tech workers, and he had like a company vest or whatever, and then people saw it, found his company, and then he got fired too. He used to SDR for Leslie's team. Awesome, man. You feel like turnkeys rentals are a waste of time, as are turnkey Airbnbs. Yeah, new construction. Yeah, anytime you do turnkey, you're paying a premium, right? You know, there's the renovation cost, then you're basically paying like a time premium or project manager premium. How long have I been in tech sales? About like what is it now? I guess 8 years now. Can't get a hold of any stone cold MQAs to even have a value prop conversation. It's tough right now. What's next for me after SAE, VP of sales? Maybe VP of sales. I'm also kind of like ramping up some of the other side stuff that I'm doing. So, I also have to kind of consider like how much extra work being a VP of sales would be. But it depends on the company, depends on the opportunity. Applied for a sales job, CEO loves me, but the hiring manager hates me. Help. Ooh, I mean, if the hiring manager hates you, honestly, I would maybe hold off, because if your manager doesn't like you, it's going to make things like very difficult for you, because your manager is ultimately the one that's going to prevent you or push you for a promo. Do I like one-on-ones? Not really. A lot of times, yeah, they're kind of like unnecessary. You definitely need to be a sales consultant. Yeah, actually, I'm doing a little bit of sales consulting. There's like 2 startups that wanted me to consult for building out their sales teams. So that's the type of stuff that I would be more inclined to do than like a full VP of sales position. Am I a millionaire? Yes, mostly from real estate though. Real estate, and then lucky with timing and stuff. How to get into entry-level tech sales. So if you want to get into entry-level tech sales, I post a lot about that, but look at my profile, get into tech sales playlist. How much equity do I have? In real estate equity, it's like 1.5. Why don't I retire early? I get bored, or I kind of like hustle or whatever, at least at this point. When do I want to retire? It's hard to say when. I might do like a sabbatical or whatever, or leave for a couple of years or something. But yeah, kind of with the passive income that I have set up, with the rental properties and everything, and TikTok partnerships, I could do it now. But the thing is, like, once you get to like these higher levels, like I know people who quit their jobs, but their job only paid like $70K, so it's like it's pretty easy decision at that point. But if you're at the point where you're making 300, 400, 500 a year, then it becomes a little bit of a trickier decision there, especially because you have other benefits too. Like if you retire, then you have to pay for like health insurance and other things too. So I mean, there are perks. So I think that the idea or the ideal is you find a high paying position that allows you to kind of like coast a little bit. Tom got me into tech sales with advice. How many people do you think got hired because of me? Quite a bit, quite a bit. I get like a lot of messages almost every day now from people saying they got in. Would I ever live abroad? If I did live abroad, it'd be Puerto Rico, mostly because they have very favorable tax laws. If you have a company, you only pay a 4% corporate tax rate, no long-term capital gains. You only have to live there half the year, and you don't have to give up your U.S. citizenship. Am I a millennial? Yeah, I was born in 1990, so I think that's still millennial. What's my Spotify playlist? This is right now. This is Shuffle Syndrome. I've been listening to this one quite a bit lately. What took you from SDR to AE and so on? Just performing at a high level. So like, for example, for SDR to AE, I did that in 10 months. Or it was like 9 months, I think. And then what I did basically is I just looked at the goal that they set for me for activity. I basically did 25% more, and that put me at the top of the leaderboard. We had like 20, I think, SDRs at the time that I was on that team, then I was at the top. And you just have to be a top performer. The top performers are at the front of the line for promotions. Do I have ADHD or take stimulants? You know what's funny? Like, I started seeing like a lot of TikToks about ADHD, and I think I probably have like some low grade version of it, because I have like a lot of hobbies, like to kind of like dig in or whatever. And yeah, actually quite a few people in tech, I guess, do. I tried like Vyvanse or whatever. Honestly, it doesn't really do too much for me, so the jury's out whether or not I have it. Basically, they give you like they have you do like a questionnaire, right, to figure out if you have it or not. And what it really comes down to is like, is it like impacting your job? Is it impacting like your family life and other things? It has to like impact several areas. So it hasn't made like, if you're able to like cope with it, it's like, it doesn't really matter if you have it or not. How do you get to be a top performer? It's a numbers game at the end of the day. Sales is a numbers game. You could be like, let's say if you write like the most perfect emails and you nail every call, that can be great, but if you're only putting in like a quarter of the volume of the average rep, like the results aren't going to be there. So the other benefit of just putting in the volume is it's going to give you more practice. You're going to get better. So you need to put in the right volume, and you also need to be able to self-evaluate and then self-correct. I think that's really important too. Numbers game means you're just working more hours. No, you don't need to work more hours, but you just need to like be efficient and work more leads. Like, working more hours actually in sales doesn't actually always get you the results, right? You have to put in the right amount of activity, especially as like an account executive. Like, there's so many directions that a customer can pull you in. You can very easily spend an entire week of work doing things that aren't actually going to generate revenue for you. So you need to be deliberate with your time too. One of my pleasures with money: watches, cars, properties. Yeah, for me it's like properties, cars. I haven't done too much with watches, but the way that I justify them is I usually like find ways to make money off of them. So like with cars, like I like to flip cars. The most recent one I did was a Ram TRX. That was a fun one. The Hellcat powered truck, and then made $20K off of it. So like, that was essentially the justification. Same with the other stuff too. Boss told me crazy stories for medtech sales. Is that true? Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. You'll hear a lot of stories in most sales positions. Empty chairs for low performers and high performers at the front. Better food at the all comp. Yeah, I haven't seen stuff like that at tech sales, but I've heard med tech sales is a different beast for sure. Deliberate how you're starting to realize you're stupid. It's not about being stupid or not, but it's like you just need to like analyze your results, right? So, take notes on like the calls that are like successful, take notes on the emails that are successful. You got to identify patterns and figure out what works well. Like, don't just like send out the same email for like 4 weeks in a row, right? You got to try, mix things up, do some A/B testing, maybe try different prospecting techniques, and you got to like fine tune it a bit. And that's kind of like where like the feedback, this being able to evaluate yourself kind of comes in. How did you get promoted fast? High performance, essentially. So you just got to figure out exactly what your performance is being measured on. Like in any corporate environment, there's gonna be a lot of different side projects that people will try to pull you into. You just really need to figure out like, okay, what's the job level matrix? What do I actually need to demonstrate to show that I'm ready to be at the next level? And you got to focus on that stuff, and you got to learn how to say no, for sure. And then you just got to be very like focused on like doing your core job skills, and then figuring out like what activities are being productive and which ones are not. Because like I said this earlier, I mentioned this earlier, you can very easily spend 40 hours a week on activities that keep you busy but aren't going to get you to a goal of like getting promoted or making a lot in sales. Your biochem having a hard time breaking into tech sales. You live in ATX tips. Yeah, big tip is referrals. Pretty much like anyone who's having trouble, either they're not doing referrals or they haven't really optimized their LinkedIn profile or their resume for sales positions. So if you're having trouble with like those, you can look at like resume services like RepView, Resume Assassin. I've actually used her twice. It's run by Mary Southern. She's actually based out of Austin. And she's actually done quite a few for salespeople. Thought process in the blue tie, looking sharp. Thanks. Yeah, this was just the TikTok that I recorded, and then I just left it on to hop on live. Story, worst STR you saw. Bro, I'm impossible to find LinkedIn. I mean, my LinkedIn is on my it's on my you just go to TechSalesTom.com and I have the LinkedIn link there. But if you just search TechSalesTom, it should just show up too. Worst SDR saw. Oh man, I think the worst one was, you guys are gonna love this one. Yeah, dressed up for Minions, exactly. No, worst SDR. Oh man, so is this guy? He had a lot of energy, and this was when I was at Google in Austin, and he got fired like I think 6 months into the role, and it turned out that like every customer call that he was going on, and he was doing this with internal meetings too, but he was like, I guess like a super evangelical Christian. Like I'm not like super religious myself, everyone can have their own things, but he was like literally on every call he was asking like, hey, he would like start off like asking like if they accepted like Christ in their heart, and he would go on like these tangents, and it's like, I mean, you got to be a little bit professional there. Like, people aren't going to discriminate you for your beliefs, but like that's kind of a bit odd. So there were enough complaints that came in. He got feedback. They gave him several opportunities to improve and to stop doing it, but he still kept on doing it. And then of course he got like, let go. So that was probably one of the worst ones. And then mostly just because like he did it to himself, and he didn't improve. The other one was I think it was like their first or second week. Usually at companies, you do happy hours like once or every other week or something like that. And this was on 6th Street in Austin, and it was at one of like the rooftop bars, and I guess they had too much or whatever, and he literally fell off the rooftop, broke his leg, and then they fired him too because he couldn't control himself. So that was like a pretty short timeline. How many times is it as an interviews to get your first SDR job? It depends, but it's not unexpected to have to apply 30 plus times. That's what you're noticing. There are some characters. There are a lot of characters in tech sales for sure. A lot of characters. I have other stories too, but yeah, no shortage of characters. How do you navigate long sales cycles to keep interested with competitors? You have to have a really good understanding of the organizational structure on your customer side. a big thing is to make sure you're not focusing on one stakeholder. You got to have like a multi-prong approach. You got to keep them up. You got to, you got to stay on top of things. Provide relevant information. Don't let off the gas. Can we connect on LinkedIn? Yes, we can absolutely connect on LinkedIn. Why are employers so afraid of top-performing non-SaaS AEs with experience? I wouldn't say it's so much that they're afraid, but sometimes actually what happens is people like high-performing AEs in other industries, they're high performers, but they're like, their thought process and their sales process is very fine-tuned for what they were selling before, and they might have trouble adapting and changing things up. Like B2B software sales is very unique, very different. So that's kind of like that main reason there. Like I've seen actually at one of the startups I was at, I remember there was like one guy we brought in, he came from a big corporate company. He had like 10 years of experience in another industry, and he just couldn't handle the startup environment. Like he had to, he didn't like have as many resources as he had before. He had trouble getting up to speed on the tech. So it was just too much there. Wait, when am I getting a new Tesla? I was supposed to be getting the Plaid last week, and then my other Model X Tesla that I was going to trade it in got T-boned. Ridiculous. The guy just blew through a stop sign. Anyway, so dealing with insurance on that. So we'll see. I might just end up picking it up anyway, because who knows? I'm hoping they total it out, but it might end up like getting repaired. We'll see, because it's like worth 100K. So to get total, it needs 70K of damages, which is pretty hard to get because the airbags didn't go off. But it might take like 3 or 4 months for it to get repaired because of all these part shortages. So I might just buy the Plaid without doing the trade-in. We'll see. So maybe on Monday or Tuesday. Pokemon box worth 100K. Yeah, check this guy out. Got the Charizard. So no, it's not worth, the box is not worth 100K. If they were all PSA 10s. How's it working for Series A funded startup? It could be a challenge. So the two startups that I worked at were on the smaller side. So you end up wearing a lot of hats. Things move quickly, but you learn a lot. Like I ended up working a lot with the leadership team, so I enjoyed that. Got ghosted for associate AE position at Amazon. Why are they so mean? Honestly, big tech recruiters are the worst. They will ghost you all the time. One of my other colleagues, he was like, he also got ghosted by an Amazon interviewer who like literally requested time to meet, and he provided the time, and she didn't get back for like almost a week, and he was literally about to like just say like, just forget it, we can pull up my thing, but then she got back. But yeah, big tech recruiters, I think it's mostly because they're paid more on a salary versus like a lot of other recruiters. For recruiting firms, staffing firms, they're paid on purely commission for the most part. So they don't have as much incentive. What do I do with my money? Right now, I'm just spending a lot of it. So I like to eat well, travel, and then I do investing in real estate. More. I also in the stock market. I do a mix of like both like more passive investing with like S&P 500 index funds, but then I also I have like a discretionary investing fund that I do mostly tech startups because I know that well. Do you finance my vehicles or pay cash? It depends. So if I know I'm going to flip it quickly, then I'll pay cash. Like the Ram TRX, that was like 75K or something, or it was like 72K. I just ended up paying that one cash because I knew I was going to sell fast, and I ended up selling it like a month later, so I didn't want to deal with like the title and everything. But usually I end up financing, especially when like before this year, my rates were always like below 2%. So like that's always like free money. So I would do 0 money down, 72 months at like 1.5% through my credit union. It's like a no-brainer to finance it at that point. Tips for a senior in college, about to graduate, wanting to get in tech sales. Yes, network a lot. Utilize your alumni network. It's going to be really important to utilize your alumni network and get referrals. That first job is hard, but you can get it, especially with strong referral. I'm excited for the World Cup. Yeah, actually, I might travel for it. We'll see. I know I want to do traveling more for MotoGP and maybe Formula One. Fastest you've seen someone go from SMB to enterprise? Fastest I've seen is like a year and a half. Actually, at one of the startups, it was a year, but it was right time, right place. But usually it's about like 2 years. Big fan of financing. You'll make way more money investing than cheap interest. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially with inflation, right? Because of inflation, you usually make money with financing, right? So, if you had let's say last year, if you got a car loan at 2% interest, and this year inflation was 8%, like you literally got an 8% discount on your loan, but you're still paying at only 2%. So that's why, like, when you look at balance sheets for like big companies, like Google, for example, they still have like billions in debt, but they have that debt because they have it at like a low interest rate, so it's better off for them to not pay it off because they'll use that money. It's better for them to have it on hand or invest in other areas. So not all debt is bad debt. The bad debt is like if you have like credit card debt at like 30% APR, like that's pretty bad because it's hard to get higher than 30% returns consistently. But if it's like 5% or less, it's not necessarily like the worst debt to have, depending on what else you're investing in. Advice for Canadians who want to move to the U.S. It's impossible to grow here. Yeah, that's what Canada market is tough. Like my dad, when he immigrated from Poland, he first immigrated to Canada, and I remember he told me that too. That was a while ago. But your best bet is to join a company that has a U.S. presence as well. So like one of the big tech companies, and then do an internal transfer. And they support international transfers. Like when I was at Google, I knew a few people who transferred from Europe, like from Berlin, for example, and they went to Austin. And Google did the sponsorship and everything. So that's your best bet. It's easier to do that than try to apply for a new role and ask for sponsorship that way. Can you teach me how to code? Me personally, I can't teach you, but freecodecamp.org is a great resource. If we go into deep recession, tech is going to hurt for 3 to 4 years. Yeah, it'll be tough. I think we'll see two different groups of tech companies. So you have tech companies that aren't profitable yet, that are on like that traditional venture capital grow at all expenses path. Those are going to struggle a bit. They're going to do hiring freezes. They're going to do some layoffs. They're going to try to extend their burn rate as much as possible. So for people that don't know, these high growth startups, they have to raise more money every 2 years or so because they're basically investing a lot of money to grow fast, and it takes a while for the revenue to catch up to their investment. So right now what's happening is investors are kind of like pulling back. They're being a bit more conservative. So these startups that were expecting to raise a lot of money in the next year or so, they're having to like cut back on expenses. So they're going to struggle a bit more. The big tech companies like the Googles and the Amazons, the Metas, I think they're gonna do a lot better because they're cash cows. It's very different than like the .com bubble or whatever. Like those companies are still gonna do great. It'll slow down, but just had an interview, third interview, 2 weeks between each interview. How long should you expect to wait now? Hopefully it should be quick. I mean, it sucks that they're taking you that long. Sometimes it could be around like the holidays. It could be scheduling with the hiring managers, but they should be moving quicker than that. But I've seen actually when I was interviewing for Google the first time, I think it took like 3 months or whatever. Just joined tech sales, contractor for analytics company. What's your suggestion on getting hired out faster? Yeah, big tip is network. You got to network a lot internally. Work with the sales manager, because when I was at Google actually they hired a lot of contractors and temps as opposed to full time. Depending on the team, like the recruiting team was I think the worst for that. I think like the vast majority of the recruiting team was temps and contractors, and like only like 5% got converted to full time. So why are my nails painted? Yeah, you can see on the YouTube it did the little vlog there, but yeah, it was my 4-year-old. She wanted to do the mani-pedi, so she picked out the color. I think she did it. She did okay. Like it matches like the Royal Oak homage watch that I got from Costco, which I thought it was kind of funny that she picked out that color. How long have I been in sales? About 7, 8 years, I guess, about that right now, specifically within tech. I love how serious I am about this. Yeah, I mean, I enjoy the lives a lot, just because at least with like the nicer camera setup that I have, I end up putting more thought into the TikToks. Like when I used to do the early TikToks, I would literally like record them in the front seat when I was like parked. And maybe I just need to do more of that. It was like easier to pump up the volume. Now like I gotta get the lighting set up right, gotta like think about the script and everything, but then the editing afterwards. But the lives are fun. What's in the case? These are Pokemon cards, graded Pokemon cards. So I have like 70% of the base set, and this is one of my alternative investments. So I'm trying to finish out the rest of the set, just because it's a childhood thing, and then apparently they're a solid investment. So they've done better than some of my tech stocks. You're my favorite TikToker. Thanks for the support, Apple user. Advice for late bloomers. Sales life seems depressing for 20-year-olds. Honestly, I mean, that's just life. It's funny. Like I'm 31 right now, and it goes by fast. I know what you mean. Like when I see like college kids, they look so young now. But I would say, the thing is, like, you gotta just have interesting hobbies. That's one of the advantages, right? As you get older, obviously, and you go more in your career, like you have more money that you can use for traveling, kind of get into different things. So I think that's what's key. The people that I've seen that kind of like struggle a bit are ones who they put their entire identity into like their job, and that's why like work-life balance is extremely important. And then just have other hobbies that you can get into. Am I gonna fill out the set? Estimate the value? Yeah, I'm gonna fill out the set. I think once I have the whole set, like it's more valuable as like a full set. So I think I was looking, the floor that I've seen for the cheapest for the full base set is like 8 or 10 grand. I'm like $2,500 into it, and I think I could finish it out for another $1,500. You have a base set of Pokemon cards. What am I missing? So I'm missing a lot of the trainer ones, but I'm focusing just on the graded ones. So I have most of them as an ungraded condition, but I'm like getting them in the graded ones. But the thing is with the graded ones, PSA, like they got slammed with the volume. Like you used to be able to like send in the cards and get them graded and get them back in like a month. Now it's like I think a year or whatever, and you have to pay $50 per slab now, which is crazy. It used to be like $10. Is becoming an SDR too risky because of layoffs? How do you prevent layoffs? Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, make sure the company's recession proof. Yeah, you need to like ask questions about. You need to look at like when they raised their money. What type of investors are backing them? Are they tier 1 venture capital firms? What space are they in? But in general, I don't think becoming an SDR is too risky. Like what else are you going to do, right? If there's a big recession, there's a recession, right? If anything, it's probably better to do it now because they usually hold off on hiring for the entry-level positions during these recessions, but they'll still be hiring like the more senior folks. So if anything, it's better to become an SDR right now, and it's better to get promoted to an AE as quick as you can because they're always going to be hiring for those positions. Tier 1 venture capital firms would be like Sequoia, Excel, Anderson Horowitz. You can literally search like tier 1 venture capital firms on Google and you'll get like a full list there. And then from there, you can kind of like take that list. You can look up their portfolio companies for each of these venture capital firms. And you can look up on, you can look it up on Crunchbase. You can go directly on their sites, and that can be another way to actually find sales jobs. Is these, you can reach out directly to the venture capital firms and say like, hey, you're really passionate about tech sales. You're getting in. You're wondering if any of their portfolio companies are looking for like more reps, and you might find that some of these companies actually are open to expanding their sales teams, but they just haven't gotten around to doing the postings yet. Have I heard of Memory Blue? Yeah, actually, a few of my followers have had offers from Memory Blue. I don't know if any of them took them, but I did some research there. It seemed fairly solid. What if you're a recent grad in a recession trying to break into tech? So recent grad is the first job is the most difficult. So you need to referrals are going to make a big difference. Do you have any nice watches? I don't have any like super nice watches. I wanted to do some Rolexes, but the prices are still too crazy. They're kind of coming down. This is one that I like a lot. Citizen Eco Drive. It's one of the GPS watches, which is kind of cool. It was like $700 or something, so it wasn't like crazy, but it was actually good for travel and stuff. And then of course, this one is always kind of funny. I got this one off of like Alibaba or I think it was AliExpress. It was only like $60. These replicas are actually like pretty accurate now. It's crazy, but the real version of this one is like $200K. It's insane because it's like the meteorite dial. But yeah, the Costco watch, I like the Costco watch a lot. I just got the green one in. They did a green face. They had that one on sale. But this guy is actually one of my favorites. It was only $220 at Costco, but it's actually like, it looks super nice. It looks way nicer in person than the pictures. Like it's super, like actually like the bracelet and everything, it's like super high quality. It's an automatic. The only thing is it doesn't have a sapphire crystal, which kind of sucks, but it's relatively accurate. See ya Kendra. But no, yeah, I like it. I got the green one in. I have to unbox it. I'll do a little video on it. But this is actually one of my favorites for sure right now. And then another one that I got, let me see. Actually, I just bought this one. This one was also at Costco. I think this one is a relatively good value. So this one is also a Citizen Eco Drive. It was at Costco. They had it on sale for only $200, but it's one of the Eco Drives. It has a sapphire crystal. It actually has a really nice like leather band. And I didn't have any white face automatic watches because I have like some Orient automatic watches. But I was actually super impressed for the price there. It's hard to beat it. But yeah, replicas. You can also look at like they have like super replicas where they're like very, very Orient Bambino. Yeah, actually I have it. I gotta look. I have it somewhere on my desk. But yeah, the Bambino, that was one of my like early automatic watches. I like the Orient watches. Mine didn't keep like great time, but yes, what was I gonna say? Yeah, the super replicas. I was actually looking into it. Like you could get like literally like almost identical Rolex replicas. They're like $600 to $800. Like these factories are like super precise. Occasionally they get shut down, but I've been meaning. I think I want to get one of those. Like they have like for like a Submariner or something like that. But that industry has been blowing up actually because a lot of people don't want to pay $20,000 for a steel sports watch. Kind of crazy. And you like, and when they get that expensive, it's like you're kind of like worried about taking them out in public and then getting them damaged or getting them stolen. But if it's like $600 or whatever, it's not as bad. You're so bad, your watches die, and you're horrible at setting them. Yeah, that's the thing with automatic watches, right? With automatic watches, you have to wear them or put them on a rotator, automatic winder, where they have to reset. That's where actually I do like the Citizen Eco Drive ones because you never have to change the battery. They're always accurate. Like this one, it only has like a 40-hour power reserve. So like if I don't wear it for 2 days, you got to reset it again, and that's kind of annoying, and you got to synchronize it. But anyway, Do I work out? Yeah, I do. I do lifting, although I haven't lifted too much in the past month. But I do a lot of actually roller skating right now. Roller skating is I feel like it's a really underrated workout. So I'll literally do like 10, 20 miles. I got like a jogging stroller with the kids. I put my boombox on there, and it's always fun. So it's like a full body workout too. So that's been kind of like my main thing right now. But yeah, I'll do lifting too. I used to do a lot of running, cross country and track competitively. But that was when I was like literally like 135 pounds at like 6'1". And then now I got up to like 200, and then but then I cut down to about like 175. Best rollerblades to buy or website to get? Yeah, so tennisrackets.com, actually. What's funny is they're actually a pretty solid site. REI, I would actually buy from REI if you can, because they have a really good return policy. If the rollerblade maximum edge and the macro blades are solid, I would recommend getting a 3-wheel tri-blade with the 110. Like, you can get a pretty decent skate for $250. That's the macro blade. The sizing is kind of annoying. That's why, like, you got to watch out for return policies. What was my 5K time? My best time, 5K time, was like 16:12. So it wasn't like super fast. Like, I didn't get to like state or anything, but I was like the fastest on the team. And actually, I wasn't athletic at all. I started like my sophomore year. I remember I was literally like the slowest kid. And like my first time was like 31 minutes or something. And but I just put in the work every day, and then slowly I got faster and faster, and I really enjoyed kind of like the competitive aspect. And I just remember like some of my friends, like they were like on the faster, the top 10 on the team. And I was like, I just want to run with them and get on their level. So anyway, that's a whole different thing. But 16:12 was super fast. Don't downplay it. Yeah, actually, I did a New Year's 5K. I basically started running again, and I was trying to get faster. And I think I got it was like a 19:20 or something, and I was actually pretty happy with that. And then, especially because I'm like 50 pounds heavier than I was in like high school. So I wish they made Arc'teryx workout clothes. Yeah, that would actually be, I feel like that would, I mean, they don't have too many. They have like Arc'teryx t-shirts, but nowhere near like the Lululemon level of kind of variety. Any books, podcasts you recommend? Yeah, actually, I'm going to do a podcast video. There's been a couple that I did a guest speaking podcast session on. I'm going to post that up. That's been on my list. I'm going to prioritize that. Last questions, thought on the web dev world. Oh, oops, that's awkward. Let me change that back real quick. Well, anyway, web dev world. Yeah, software development's great. Web dev is a little saturated right now. Let me see, this is like the default thing, so don't worry, it's not like whatever. Anyway, I'm probably gonna be I'll just make this like full screen right now. Well, anyway, yeah, I'm gonna do the video on the podcast, and then on the books. Look on my Discord. I have like a few books listed there. Would I ever get a supercar like a Lambo or Ferrari? Yeah, actually,